This is a Play Your Way network presentation. Get the full story at PlayLifeYourWay.com.
You have reached the voicemail box of 214. At the tone, please record your voice message. When you are finished recording, you may hang up or press pound for more options.
Oh, shit. Derek, this is BK, man. I don't feel so good. I already texted Nate, but if you guys could take care of it, and I take care of the podcast this week, man, I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later. Oh, man.
In a world where comics, movies, games, rumors, and Kardashians come at you 24/7, three champions will rise to defend you from wasting precious time, money, and emojis. BK, Nate, and Derreck will show you how to do it the player way.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, it is a different captain because I am the captain now. Even though I'm still the same captain I was before, it is me, Derek, known as Corrupting the System, and my co-captain, Nate.
That's me, ready to do what I like to call a shallow jump instead of a deep dive.
A shallow jump. We're just putting our toes in. Water past the ankles means it's too much.
Yeah, I'm just going to let go ahead. So, I'll go.
Let the cards fall where they may. Yeah,
and as you can see, we're not
Wildcard weekend.
Yeah, we're not anywhere near as organized as we usually are when BK is here. But I figured we could jump into being that BK's gone, and it's almost like going to work and you find out your boss called out sick. We don't exactly have to do our jobs; we have to do the bare minimum, but you can have some fun.
Right. We need to make sure the building doesn't burn down. At least that, and then we've had a successful day.
And the police aren't called for some odd reason.
That's right. That's right. I'm with you, man. We can definitely, we can definitely maintain, and I'm always up for a good NFL talk, especially after a good wild card. I say a good wild card weekend. There were two good games this weekend. I feel like, in my opinion, three if you want to count the Falcons one, but. I guess it depends on what you call a good game.
I didn't watch it, dude. The only ones I did watch is the Rams, and then which I was actually. So 3 out of the 4 teams I was rooting for this weekend all lost. I was going for the Rams, going for the Chiefs, and I was going for the Bills.
Gotcha. I only watched the Bills, and then I watched part of the Titans Chiefs game, but. I was one of those, I'm like, oh, well, this is over, kind of thing. And I caught part of the Falcons, but I actually watched the full Bills, Jags, and then Panthers and Saints.
The Panthers and Saints was a real good game.
That was good. I want to save that one. That was the best one.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know. It's close, but.
I think so.
But, so you were pulling for the Rams? I'm surprised. Like, I really thought their offense was going to just overwhelm Atlanta, but I guess Atlanta was more of a defensive team as of late.
And living in LA, I'm by no means a Rams fan, but I've been able to watch almost every single game of theirs. And I will. They have been a lot of fun to watch. Seeing a team completely turn itself around. Gurley is my pick for MVP. I know they usually don't pick running backs, but ever since Wentz went down, I feel like Gurley should be the MVP.
Man,
Goff.
He even played his heart out on that game too. Yeah.
Goff was one of the stars of my fantasy football team, so he's been fun. And he's a lot better than I thought he was. After last year, I was thinking he was sort of a bust. But
yeah, he's actually Like, he makes good decisions. He's accurate, like, enough.
Yeah, well, all that being said, man, I was pulling for him. Disappointing.
Yeah, like, I kind of wanted them to... Yeah, I kind of believed him. I noticed that watching any of these games, like, I didn't have a dog in the fight, so I didn't matter, but as it kind of progressed, I realized, like, oh, I'm going for the Rams. I didn't realize that, or I'm going for the Bills, and I didn't realize that. But yeah, this one, Gurley, like 14 carries, 101 yards. Like give him the ball like every other play. Throw it to him or shovel it to this guy.
He was amazing. This year I didn't have him on fantasy, but anybody that did, guaranteed.
Yeah,
probably at least made the playoffs.
They ate off of that.
Yeah, he's been a lot of fun to watch, and as I said, he's my pick for MVP. I don't know who you feel like deserves it. It's probably going to go to Brady or someone.
I mean, it's rough that it's always like quarterback wise, but honestly, I feel that who's the Vikings quarterback? I feel like he should be in the discussion. Yeah, Keenum. Yeah. Like, no one expected. Like, I think that's part of my thought process on it, because no one expected that. Like, I fully expected him to just be a manager until Bridgewater was ready, but he's done very, very well. Like, surprisingly well. Like,
it's very inspirational. This is the making. Yeah. If they really do
he's a good football movie.
Yeah, no. Well, I can't root for the Vikings, but if they do
I understand
win
that.
and they do go all the way, that is...
And play a home Super Bowl game.
That is the makings of a inspirational sports movie right there. A guy that's been on, 7 different teams.
You're right. Yeah, definitely a modern-day journeyman.
Oh, yeah. It's like this generation's Kurt Warner. Go from a nobody.
Yes, I was gonna even say Testaverde.
Oh, yeah.
Almost. Like, he's not quite to that level, but...
God.
He's been in,
I forgot Vinny Testaverde even existed. Holy shit.
Dude, man, he played for everybody. I want to say he probably played for at least half the teams in the league.
I remember him the most with the Jets.
He was even a Cowboy.
That's where I
remember the most with the Jets. But I also remember him with Baltimore. I also remember him with the Cowboys, because
naturally,
and with the Patriots. I believe he was with the Patriots for a bit, and just even, I don't know, he was everywhere. I feel like I remember him more in the AFC, I think, more than NFC, though.
So all that being said, I was going to ask what reflections on the season. I mean, before we go into predictions or anything.
For Vikings specifically, or just
your reflections on the season?
Oh, just the NFL season as a whole. Well, it's becoming to where it's almost like the college teams, like we still have it's not always the usual suspects in the NFL outside of like the Patriots. But I will say everything is cyclical. NFL is not immune to that at all. I'm appreciating seeing a little more power football these days. Like, a lot of teams, like, the Cowboys over the past 2 years have obviously been the ones talked about with their offensive line, and now with Zeke, and, even back when DeMarco Murray was part of it, like, that kind of started the shift, and you really just see it. Like, every one of these teams that are in the playoffs right now, they were known for like the Falcons they weren't the same running team that they were last year, or like the Titans with. I'm just glad to see that type of football still out there. Like, yeah, it's still run and gun and sling it 40 yards, but it's nice to see that kind of adjustment, because as it goes on, you see teams start drafting for that type of football, and then here in another 10 years, they'll be like, boom, back to the air, or back to the scat back, or power back, or whatever. So, a lot of muddled. Not that refs ruin the game for me, but over the year, it's just like there's so much. Like, we already have 3 hours of advertisements. Yeah. Like, it's such a beatdown with the penalties. It's a beatdown with like the NFL fines, the league, the Elliott all this stuff. Just all that extra business just takes away from the game. And the game already has so much like adversity and controversy just surrounding apparently everything. The national anthem thing. There was just so much about hype outside of actual football that like people who had like stellar seasons, I feel like they were overshadowed.
I know that, not to take away from anybody's sort of political stance or how you feel like activism is, but that's not what I watch football for.
Not at all.
I don't care that Kaepernick's not standing up. I really don't. As long as he throws the ball. That's
right.
Yeah.
That's really it. Like you want to, like, I want to see the upper echelon athletes on the field do their thing. I want to see, like, I miss the, like, I like to watch certain games outside of my own division. Like, I always look forward to Steelers-Ravens football because it just has that old school feel, smash mouth mentality. Heck, even watching the Panthers and Saints yesterday, like, it's just good to see. Like, it's always fun to watch an NFL game when you don't have a fantasy or a dog in the fight, but just seeing, like, the actual football, like, around it, like the just somewhat of a rivalry or like a cornerback and a wideout actually going at it, just those type of stories in football instead of here's like 17 minutes of off the field issues for these 4 players and let's see how that stacks up on the field, as opposed to, these guys have been going at it for the past 4 years. Let's just talk about that. Just that shift of really broadcast journalism, really. Mm-hmm. That's really where it's coming from and going to. So
yeah, it's
especially rampant with the Cowboys, Zeke, and every week. Like, I was just like, Jerry, just take the first 6 games, dude. Just take the first 6 games.
It would have been better that way, honestly, I think. Hindsight's 20/20, but
yeah, but I mean, that was my thought at the beginning of the year. Like, hindsight's, of course, I'm sure Jerry was like, I wish I had it, but it just for me as a Cowboy fan, like, we already get enough hate. Jerry Jones is he's turning into that Al Davis kind of guy. And if you're a Cowboy, you always have like the spotlight on you. And if you sneeze too loudly and blah, 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 all that goes with it. But like it always just befuddles me when like they let Lucky Whitehead go in the offseason because he drew it was negative criticism in the locker room. But then we dragged on the Elliott case for over half the football season, and you're going to tell me that's not a locker room distraction? Oh, wait, he's your star running back. He doesn't. Yeah, the same rules don't apply.
Do you think Dez plays next year with the Cowboys?
I know that he said he's not going to pay for less than a certain number. To be honest, I don't really want him to. I could take his $8 to $9 million a year and put that on the defense and actually get a decent linebacker or a decent defensive tackle and pay them less than that and actually really bolster my defense. Mm-hmm. Especially watching all this playoff football, it always makes me angry for what my team can't do. Like seeing all these other good coaches make great coaching decisions and seeing these other NFL defenses or offenses that have more than 7 plays like my Cowboys do. Like, it's always extra frustrating, especially then I have somebody like Dez Bryant who's crying to get the ball. And then, like, he drops it on the next play thereafter, and then he's demanding that he's only going to play. I just miss the good old days where you had football players that had rivalries for 6 straight years because they were locked into that team. You know what I mean? Like the Jerry Rice, versus every cornerback in the NFC West Coast. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't going to be that possibly they were going to be teammates the next year, I mean, I know that's the current modern age of free agency, but I know that was a long way around to say that I kind of hope Dez isn't here, but I feel that Jerry's stubborn. And if he threw money at somebody, he wants to make sure that he's going to get some sort of return out of it.
Yeah. Well,
especially if he threw the 88 on him.
Yeah. I'd be interested. I mean, I'm not invested in the Cowboys, but I feel like next year is Garrett's year to, this whether or not you're going to make it.
Man, it's so he's such a mediocre head coach. Like I preferred him as an offensive coordinator. It felt like it was a better fit because he just did more, but he's that guy that Jerry wants in place to do exactly what he wants when he wants him to do it. He's just I'm not going to get a Bill Parcells out of Jason Garrett. I mean, that's evident by getting rid of Jimmy back in the day. Jimmy could have been the Cowboy coach for 25 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? He should have been. But But then again, like I said, I look forward to playoff time just to see how all these other franchises are operating, because I didn't get to see many Falcons games, or like I saw the Rams when we played them, but I didn't get to see Buffalo play much. I didn't get to see the Jags play any. Yesterday was my first game that I got to see Jacksonville even play all year. And
I think that's the first game anybody got to see Jacksonville play.
Yeah, I think anybody, right, outside of Jacksonville. And I'm watching it, and I've heard about their defense, but then I was watching it, and I was just like, it was a defensive game, but I really think, like, without Blake Bortles, the Jags don't win that game. And honestly, without Tyrod Taylor missing every receiver that he could, the Bills might have had a better chance. They might have had a better chance going to their backup a little earlier, you know.
I was rooting for the Bills solely, you know, obviously, because they haven't been in the playoffs since '99, I think it was.
Yeah, so, I didn't realize like it had been so long for them as well.
Yeah,
but
I mean, but so it goes.
Especially with like their fans being so internet active as of the past week. I don't know if you saw like all the wrestling videos and the tailgating that these Bills fans are doing. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I saw a video of them welcoming the team back when they found out they made the playoffs. These people were standing in -degree weather, you know, snow coming down, just waiting for the plane to land and welcome the team home. Like, that's a touching moment.
That's incredible. Yeah. That is. In a city of 500,000 people, you know what I mean? Like, that's a fairly small town compared to the like Atlanta, Dallas, LA, you know. Like, it's very like a Green Bay mentality where you guys still kind of like actually own your team.
Yeah.
It's, you know, like kind of like a college team actually having that type of camaraderie, and that kind of like it's very different than what I have here in Dallas, because if you go to a Dallas Cowboy game, it's really just to be seen or go look at the artwork. It's not going there to scream for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's not,
you know, everywhere else
going to sit in shitty weather.
Yeah.
You know, getting snowed on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go do that. As much as I support the Cowboys, I don't have the time. Like Buffalo, like I feel like everybody who did that, a group of 14 people, they all knew, and then their boss was probably gonna go too, and they all just knew that they were going into work late that day or something like that. Just totally different mindset. And even seeing just Buffalo Bills fans down in Jacksonville in the stadium, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's just incredible. But yeah, I mean, that sucks. Their season was over. I mean, you could tell. I mean, it was a little wonky until the end. But, I mean, for a 10-3 game, it was just exactly that, a 10-3 game. The Titans-Chiefs one was much more exciting. I can't believe I dipped out on that one, because it just really looked like Kansas had that one in the bag from the start of the game. Like, it wasn't even like they were just totally dominating them. And then just...
So they were
imploded.
They were my pick to go all the way.
I really all year.
I really like Andy Reid. I think he deserves a Super Bowl as a head coach. Alex Smith has completely redeemed himself in his tenure in Kansas City. It doesn't look like he's going to be back next year.
Yeah,
I was just it'd be, you know, a lot of these guys. Kareem Hunt, good year. Travis Kelce, good year.
Yeah,
you know, it's.
A lot of them.
I would like them.
I respect, like, I'm right with you with Andy Reid. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of him having to see him twice a year for, what was it, like 14 years or something. But I have to respect that guy. Like, he is an excellent head coach. Like, he knows how to, like, draw talent out. Like, the only difference I feel like between him and Belichick, he just doesn't have the rings. But, like, Andy Reid is every bit as, like, that level to me. He's just a really great head coach. He's a motivator of men.
He's one step under, because
like when
he doesn't have Belichick's postseason record. You know, that's
and that's what I'm that's
not even just rings,
biggest,
but just playoff wins. I think they had that one year they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and playoffs doesn't really transpose, but he's just such a. He's just like Tony Gonzalez, you know. I wanted him to have a ring too. He's obviously the best tight end ever, but you know, it just didn't work out for him. I feel bad for Andy Reid another year, you know, but his job's not in question. But Alex Smith, you think he's gone?
It seems like it all signs point to yes. they drafted up to take that new quarterback, Patrick Mahone, I think his name is.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the last game of the season, which he started, but I think he did decent. And I think Smith's gonna get traded away. Unfortunately, we'll see. I could be wrong, like many times.
They might try to keep him and do like the whole mentor thing, pass it on,
possibly.
But
but I mean, you're building a young team. Kareem Hunt, you got a good young running back. Yeah, you start building that rapport in the offseason with him and the new quarterback, stuff like that.
They really need a like the youth they have on offense. It's not the same that it is on defense, because their defense, like Tom Bahali, Chris Jones, those Derek Johnson, those guys, like in essence their front seven, like those guys are starting to get a little long in the tooth now. They still have, of course, Marcus Peters. They have a pretty decent secondary, but if they're going to kind of start making that shift, they're going to probably have to start moving that money around. But I mean,
no.
It was a good game. I feel bad for the way they lost. Like Tennessee just really hung in there. They were just it wasn't pretty. It wasn't like a stellar comeback. It wasn't like boom, 3 drives and we're back. Chiefs just started kind of falling apart.
Tennessee is a team I often forget even exists. No offense to Nashville or the state of Tennessee, but
you're right, man. You're right. Like I'm like, oh yeah, they have a football team. Yeah. If I think of the Browns more than I think of the Titans, you know what I mean? Like it's. Yeah.
So here we go to what are your predictions, or I guess.
Well, Tennessee is Tennessee going up against next New England, right?
New England. Yeah.
I don't really think that's a trap game for Belichick and Brady. I think they're going to go ahead and hand them. Like, I would have much rather seen Kansas City, because I think that would have been a much better matchup. But so I feel like, once again, another year that the Pats get 2 bye weeks before they get ready for the AFC Championship. Once again.
I think it'll be Pats Steelers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Those are 2 teams I didn't want to see in the Super Bowl again, but I'll give it up to the Patriots. I think we'll see him again in the Super Bowl.
Mike Tomlin. Yeah. Mike Tomlin, too, man. He's a hell of a head coach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
Pittsburgh,
you don't think Jacksonville will have anything for Pittsburgh?
I guess there's always
any given
chance,
Sunday, but
there's always a chance you could be surprised. But
did they beat them earlier this year?
Possibly. I don't keep up with either of those teams. I do
think
know
Jacksonville had a unique victory or something, like I don't know, something weird earlier this year. Maybe I'd have to check, but
I don't. Again, it's a toss up. I'm going with my gut and saying it's Pittsburgh. Just they seem like the dominant team. So I think it'll be Pats Steelers. And honestly, that's a coin flip, for AFC Championship.
Really? It is.
Yeah, they're both good.
I know. Yeah, I really, if that is the AFC Championship, which, I mean, all signs really would make sense of that. I'd be excited to see James Harrison against the Steelers in the AFC, when literally 3 weeks ago he was on that roster.
I know.
You know what I mean? That's crazy, but that's totally New England. Like, for the past 15 years. All right, y'all don't want this vet? Well, we'll use him in the last 3 games to figure out how to get a ring out of him.
Yeah,
and that's where vets go to get rings right now. It works out.
NFC, I'm rooting for New Orleans, but they have a tough game against Minnesota.
That's a really tough. I mean, their offense is high octane. But the Vikings are at home. They've been prepared. But then again, sometimes that doesn't really behoove a team to have that week off. Like the Saints are on a roll and have been on a roll. Like they started 0-2 on the season, and they finished 11-5. Like that's a great run, and that's coming together when you really need it to. And yesterday was a tough game. Like Carolina shot themselves in the foot earlier when that touchdown drop and then the missed field goal. It kind of really made for some bad juju, but they really hung around when it really should have been like they could have really put their head in the sands. But the Saints, they held them off enough.
Saints have a better running game than Minnesota. Kamara is my vote for Rookie of the Year.
Man, but Carolina did a great job bottling them up. Man, they only had 45 yards between them yesterday. But the Saints, I feel as with all stats, they're skewed. The Saints got away from running as soon as it didn't work, and then their passing was, 76 yards for Drew Brees, so it didn't matter. They didn't have to run anymore.
What's the game? The other game is Atlanta at Philly.
Yeah.
If Philly had Wentz, I would go with Philly, but they're not the same team without him, unfortunately. I'd go
As
with
I've said before, I hate Philadelphia enough that I want them to go all the way to the Super Bowl just to lose to the Patriots. So, but I really feel like Atlanta's kind of for them to shut down the offensive prowess of the Rams, because I really thought that was going to be like a 47-41 type of game, but they really shut them down, kind of snuffed them out. And if Atlanta brings that defense with them to Philly, and Nick Foles' offensive Philly team is not the same as a Carson Wentz one.
No, Carson Wentz.
Not that Nick Foles, he's not bad. He's really not a bad quarterback. But it's just not the same team.
If Wentz didn't get injured, he would have been a shoo-in for MVP this year.
Yeah, dude, he had an incredible year. And he had a heck of a rookie season. I know they were talking about between him and Dak last year, but in this day and age, like, Carson Wentz is... Yeah. He's the improved rookie version of Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he's a big guy. He can see over the line. He's accurate, big arm, and he's tough to bring down. Yeah. And he's pretty athletic. Like, he's almost athletic as Cam Newton, but he doesn't get the precedence because of, his skin tone. Like, honestly. Like, he really does. Like, he's pretty athletic. Yeah. I've seen him make some really, plays, but as much as I hate the Eagles, like, I have to give him his props.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, that being
what do you think, Saints and Vikings? What do you think?
I want the Saints to win, but honestly, again, that could be a coin flip because both teams have been pretty good. And I just don't want Minnesota to win. Other than to maybe have an inspirational sports movie about Case Keenum later on down the road.
I mean, they have a lot of magic, that NFL magic going on. I really feel like the Saints. I mean, if this was the Vikings of old that had an open air stadium in the middle of January in playoff time, I feel that would have a huge sway on it. But they have a nice, pristine, beautiful, futuristic looking stadium. The Saints play good on indoors, and they're just clicking right now. Yeah. I really feel like they may be able to go in there and just. I wouldn't mind. I can believe seeing a Saints Falcon NFC championship, and the Falcons may kind of dig in, especially after last year. This may shape up to be an Atlanta New England rematch. Honestly,
that's quite possible. I hope,
which would be very. I really don't want that, but like if they do, I would hate Brady. I would hate for them to lose again. Yeah. Like, just like, it's so hard to get to the Super Bowl and to do it back-to-back years to lose to the same team. Like, I know Buffalo, like, even back in the early 90s when they went to 4 straight Super Bowls, like, that's just unheard of, just to lose 4 straight Super Bowls. We know Atlanta was the meme of the year, with the third quarter, 28-3 or whatever it was. That could be a chip. Yeah. It might...
I'm hoping for a New England, New Orleans Super Bowl. New. But
that'd be nice.
I would hope.
I would like to see Drew Brees get one.
I want to see someone else beat Brady in a Super Bowl other than Eli Manning.
Other than Eli Manning,
that,
like I still don't.
It's possible. You can beat Brady without miracles. It's
without wild helmet catches or your defense showing
angels
up,
in the outfield without all that.
Exactly. I'll go ahead and if I'm just going to go with just straight the paper talk, I believe that it'd be New England and New Orleans. Yeah. Honestly, I think New Orleans just has, watching them yesterday, even though Carolina was hanging around, I never felt that the Saints were going to lose that game. Like, I never thought that they were going to even I think if Carolina had a comeback just to tie it, I think Drew Brees would have easily just picked them apart again. Their secondary was terrible. And honestly, there's no one really with a much better secondary out there against them. Like, Minnesota's going to be their toughest test. And if they can get past them, Atlanta won't be able to stop them. And I really don't think, especially with their running game is sick. Yeah. Ingram and Kamara. Yeah. And then they're like, I didn't know, I wasn't familiar with the Saints wideout. What's his name? Number 13, Robinson or something like that. Here, let me actually look up his
Mike
name.
Thomas. Right.
Yeah, Michael Thomas. Like, I wasn't as familiar. I didn't realize he had almost 200 catches his first 2 years. Like, that's ridiculous. This guy, like, it was just, he reminds me of Mike Evans, but smaller. Like, he's just a good, with less flair and yelling at everybody. He's actually just like a Larry Fitzgerald. Just go out there, play and produce. And then Drew Brees is just that guy. I love seeing him back there in the pocket, tiptoe, looking over his line to see where he's going to throw it to.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to touch on the NFL is the ridiculousness, or my personal opinion, that it's ridiculous, the $100 million 10-year contract that John Gruden is going to get to coach the Oakland Raiders. Yes, he is a Super Bowl winning coach. Yes, he is inheriting what I believe is a good team, a good young team. But John Gruden is no Bill Belichick. I don't believe this man is a $10 million a year man.
No.
He's been out of coaching for how long?
I respect him. I want to say it's been about 10 years.
Yeah.
Give or take.
And I know they had to offer him that much money to get him out of his cushy commenting job because... And if I were John Gruden, I wouldn't want to.
And I didn't even realize...
coaching...
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah, it's all year long.
That's
You don't get an off season. Once the season ends, you're working on the next one. You're working on drafting, whatever. It's not
it never stops.
You don't get a vacation.
It never stops.
And to commit for 10 years, not me, but
hey. And he's only, in his 50s, give or take? I think he's just in his 50s. Like, there's a reason why people like Tom Coughlin and Bill Parcells, they go up to the box to work if they're going to work for a team. Like, coaching, I mean, it's cutthroat. I mean, there's guys that get fired after 4, 5, 6 games. You know what I mean? Your contract doesn't matter if you come out there and not producing.
Yeah, that's right. He'll get 2 years if you're not. If he's not having,
you better be in the playoffs deep.
both years, and I can see there's got to be a clause in his contract saying, "Hey, if you don't do this, we're gonna let you go." I personally believe it's the new guy that took over. That's his commentating partner this on Monday Night Football, because that guy's fucking boring.
The guy that looks like Scott Hamilton.
I bet Gruden was like, "I can't do this." Hey, Oakland, you need a coach.
He was, he was like he was such like the straight-laced announcer guy. Just
he's monotonous, showed no emotion.
Yes.
Yeah, he was bad. I hope they pick someone good. I really liked Romo. Romo was a pleasant surprise as an announcer.
He really progressed throughout the year. Like,
give him the big time.
He kind of came together.
Yeah. But yeah,
be all right with him. I like hearing him and Al Michaels. They're pretty good together.
Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels.
I mean, like I said, I prefer. What I was saying, I would prefer Tony to replace Collinsworth. Anybody to replace.
You don't
Collinsworth,
like Collinsworth?
Honestly, no. 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 There's nothing I like. Like so often during the game, it's just I'm hearing him, and it's just. If he likes the guy, very much like John Gruden was, but John Gruden at least had that coaching mentality. Like Collinsworth, he had 4,000 yards receiving, nothing to sneeze at, but like Tony Romo had a much more illustrious career than Chris Collinsworth. Like Chris Collinsworth, he knows his football, but just when it comes to announcing, it's just I was just never on board with that guy.
I'm not gonna lie, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth are my favorite duo.
I think honestly they balance each other out. I really like Joe Buck.
I fucking hate Joe Buck.
Really?
Oh, God.
I think it's just because he's so knowledgeable. Like I respect that he can do baseball. Like doing play-by-play in baseball is like a talent in and of itself. But
he's always
Aikman's boring to me, but Aikman knows a lot though.
Into Aikman's eyes.
Yes. Into the camera.
Yeah. The guy wants it.
I think they can maybe mix it up. I could see maybe Collinsworth with maybe put Collinsworth and Joe Buck. Let me see them duke it out, and Aikman and that other guy, the other boring guy. I don't know, but I think I meant to say Jim Nantz earlier with and he's the one with Romo right now, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Jim Nance, I mean, he's iconic. They can put Jim Nance and Joe Buck together. They can love all those other sports together. We can have Aikman and Romo.
That'd be an interesting
let's see how
duo.
that takes off.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 generations of Dallas quarterbacks.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. With the very dark period in between.
All right.
But yeah, it'll be good to shape up, just to see how good luck. My team's not been in it. So, but it's like I said, it's fun to watch just free football, and that's definitely going to be headed toward the biggest show of the year again.
And as football season ends, we have to go back to things like Netflix and Hulu.
Oh yeah,
which is the second topic.
That's right, streaming.
Yes. So I mean, I think you've been watching more Netflix than I have. I haven't even finished. I've got done with 4 of the 6 Black Mirrors.
Okay.
It's a show that's very good, obviously. I don't feel the need to binge it because, it's every episode is different. Yeah, so
I only binged it just because I'd been waiting, just because I wanted just another installment of Black Mirror. But as you say, there's no continuity other than just like the overall themes of it. Mm-hmm. I really wish they would just get to a point where they just made one of these like every 2 weeks or something. Like, I don't want to wait for seasons of this. Just green light it. Just make these as much as you guys can. Just like my body is ready.
So far, there's one other season coming out. I don't think they have anything planned after that. But this can be like the next Twilight Zone. Just something that's continuous, goes on. How'd you feel about this season?
I like that. Even though the technology was still there, they didn't harp on it as much. It was more so like human behavior behind the technology. I really like that. That's kind of the overall theme this season. Stuff we can all connect with. We've all had, very wild spectrum thoughts. I'm thinking of the guinea pig episode personally.
With the memory recall.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That was a heavy one.
That was that was pretty. I was like, oh.
But at the same time, you can, and obviously spoilers. You can, or I imagine, you can kind of understand the mindset of what this woman was going through in that time of desperation. It's not to say that I would do the same exact thing, because I don't know if I'd go that far. I definitely get rid of the guinea pig before I got rid of the baby.
Right. Definitely. I don't. It was pretty
a
extreme,
heavy episode, though.
But this show kind of toes that line. Like, even going back to like season 1, like the series opener. I don't know if you remember. That was the one with the prime minister. His daughter gets kidnapped.
Oh yeah.
And then he's forced to deal with the pig for an hour. Yeah. like this show definitely touches on that that borderline human. Like, what do you do when no one else is looking? But we have the technology to kind of see what you did while no one else is looking.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's good. It's good. I appreciate it.
I don't know if any of these episodes breach my top 5. But I probably like USS Callister the most, and that
was very.
I really enjoyed the dating one.
That one, I didn't realize I was as sappy as I was until it all came together for me, and I was like, all right, this is effing ridiculous and awesome. Yeah. Like, this is really cool. I can't be mad at this. This is legit. Like, that one was really cool. I think that one was probably one of my best feel good ones. Like, I don't think I have many Black Mirrors where I feel good.
Yeah, where it has got a happy ending.
Yes, it kind of brought it all together. Like, all of them, I'm like I went back and kind of thought through it. I'm like, yeah, all of them really are just kind of, but then again, it's real life, It kind of brings it, I know you appreciate those type of resolutions. Like, Playtest is still my favorite one.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's still my favorite one. Because I would do that. Like, I'm like, yes, I want to sample this. Fly me out to some secret facility to try this out.
And I think absolutely that's extremely I mean, we've seen plenty of movies where you kind of go into, a virtual reality state. Oh yeah. And I don't know if it's possible in our lifetimes, maybe, but I can see society being addicted to being in a virtual world. Kind of, You know, Minority Report, they sort of touch on it a little bit when he goes into that.
That's right.
Obviously, Ready Player One's going to go into that whole the Oasis.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
So I hope we see it in our lifetime. If I could spend the next 10 years as an avatar in a virtual world being a superhero, then by all means, sign me up.
Say no more. Right? Like, it's... Yeah, this will be something definitely BK and I are probably going to jump into later on this week with regards to the technology aspect of it. That's one of my favorite things with regards to Black Mirror, just because it's not like we're not replicating food. It's not that type of technology. It's the type of stuff that's really, if you look in the past 10 years, we've progressed ridiculously, so it's not that far-fetched. It's not so far-fetched to just think that we can pull up a solar-powered taxi and go somewhere without having to interact with anybody. It's not so far-fetched that we can work off a credits system where we rate everybody when we kind of already do that. It's not so far-fetched to just think that, you know, we're going to start transposing our consciousness. I still believe Matt Groening is a time traveler, and therefore Futurama is actually where he's actually from. So we're one step closer to just having talking heads in jars. So it's just downloading our consciousness for generations thereafter. And you know, that's something that I'm with. You know, there's geniuses that I wish we could have done that with some of the minds that we've come across. You know, we could have, you know, had, you know, Einstein still educating us and then maybe progressing his own theories to something else. I would love to have seen an Einstein, Neil deGrasse Tyson conversation actually happen, just due to the level of technology that Black Mirror kind of hints at. I believe that it's definitely something possibly in our lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm 86 and I get a chance to see what it's like to know what it is to be Superman and fly around and just do whatever I want in a virtual world, have his power but none of his Boy Scout abilities, I will strap in at 86 and just never visit me again, kids. I want to die like this. Okay, I waited a long time for this. Y'all had enough of me.
Or even and they had an episode sort of like that with the old, I think they were old, but the old ladies in the hospice, but you know, they would go into that. Yeah.
Exactly.
I can only hope. You know,
I can only hope.
Yeah.
Please bring it back. In addition to Black Mirror, which that was definitely one, I came across another docuseries. Like, Netflix is bringing the sauce with these docuseries later. There's this one, it's called Rotten, and I don't know if you've seen a trailer for it or heard of it, but it's think along the lines of like Food Inc. That's what every single one of these episodes is about. Like, the first one is, and as non-interesting as this is about to sound, this one kind of like details, I didn't realize, like, the gigantic criminal world behind honey. And it just went over like the detailed exports, like how China circumvented the system and started providing like Malaysia with like millions of barrels of honey, where from a company that could only really produce like 10,000 barrels was exporting, 2 million a year to the US. And then the scientists are having to try to figure out what's legit honey and what's synthetic honey and what have poisons in it. And then the criminals are trying to get ahead of the testing techniques, and all much to the chagrin of actual like beekeepers and like farmers here. And that's really what the topic of like this series follows, just the actual farmer, the one that woke up before the sun went up, went down before the sun after, to where now the people that in essence give chickens to Tyson's, they pay them 36 cents for $7, and we're paying $7 a pound for a chicken. Like, this is really just really going toward the actual criminal behavior of these corporations that are doing that. And it's a pretty good series. Like, it's pretty interesting. I'm kind of into all that stuff, especially with me doing my best to corrupt any system. I want to make sure I'm up on those things, just because we are in the world of where the dollar is still almighty, even if it is all digital. But it makes if I can keep people sick and keep them keep doctors treating symptoms, then I can keep making fake food for these people to eat. And it's definitely a pretty good very very informative series.
Oh yeah, and we live in an age where the majority of the human race has lost the art of being able to live sustainable, the sustainability of being able to provide for yourself, hunt, garden. I don't know shit about gardening.
Yes.
I don't know nothing about
just
botany.
hunter gathering.
I was raised in a city my whole life. We had a tree 4 blocks down from my apartment. That was the forest.
That was the forest.
Yeah. Like, I realize, and it's become more apparent to me as I've gotten older, too, like, I don't have life skills. If you stuck me out in the wild and said, hey, survive, I don't know how I'd do.
I have, like, some of those skills, but, like, as I get older, as Ricketts keeps closing in on me, I can order every single thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the comfort of my own home. The only reason I really have to leave my apartment is just to go to the establishment that I work at. Other than that, I don't really I can have my groceries delivered. I can pay all my bills online. I can have all my food delivered. I can have every single, the food, water, and shelter is all we need. If we can have the food and water delivered to the shelter, there's no reason to get out.
It is unfortunate because, the big corporations are, slowly making it hard. Well, not probably very fast, making it harder and harder for these people, like actual farmers that don't work for a farming company. They have their own little ranch. Like those are dying out.
Exactly.
And
there was a fact that one of the beekeepers said. He's like, half of one of my crops half of my livestock, which I've never really thought of bees as livestock, but it is. He said half of my livestock disappeared, 1 year. And he's like, if you took like a cattle company that said half of their livestock disappeared, people would take notice. But he's like, since they're bees, no one cares that, a few, tens of millions disappeared. And, that's been a topic of discussion the past decade, like what's happening to the bees and all this. And they're just, it's crazy when you really think about it, but then the crazier it becomes, the more sense it makes, because that's just really how it is. Yeah. Whoever has more commas in the bank account, they're just going to be able to buy you out. It just doesn't matter. Like, I don't even think the whole idea of a monopoly is even enforced anymore. Like, it's just accepted. Oh, yeah. Just a conglomerate. Like, it doesn't matter if there's only 4 meat companies that provide all meat to the whole United States. It just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and
we don't go to the butcher.
No, I couldn't even. I don't think I've ever stepped foot into a butcher.
Yeah, when I was younger, I remember that's how it was. But now, I can get a package. It's going to last longer. It's prepackaged. It's pre-cut. I don't have to. The cost of it is much easier. Assembly line. Henry Ford did this. It's assembly line. Let's just. I'm not gonna go pay $15 for it when I could pay $6, and it's much more convenient. Ease and convenience.
Yeah, I just gotta honestly hope that the world doesn't go to shit. Like some sort of Walking Dead situation happens where I'm a fucking graphic artist by trade. What the fuck am I gonna do?
How
am I going to convince a group to take me on? I'm baggage. I'm extra weight. Do you know how to start a fire?
What can you do for us?
As soon as this lighter runs out of gas, I am done.
Anytime I hear buzz of a solar flare that could just wipe out electricity, I'm just like, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. Okay. Because, I just don't know what's going to happen. I see what happens when a freaking street light goes out and people don't even know how to treat it like a stop sign. If that's the level of chaos.
And that's exactly what would happen. We like to think of ourselves all as smart people. But
but was it like 9 meals away? We're 9 meals away from anarchy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And hey,
I just binged The Mist too, so that kind of also had some seasoning in that.
Oh wait, the actual show.
Yeah, the actual Stephen King.
Is it good?
Yeah,
I've seen the movie.
I've seen the movie as well. This one is very. It's a Stephen King TV series. Like you're not gonna get like your HBO level style acting, but it's worth watching. Like it's a good storyline. I started it and we watched every single episode like over 2 days. Like it was enough of a story to get me into it. But it was also kind of after, kind of with the Black Mirror topic that we were just talking about with technology and human behavior, and then just being, 9 meals away from anarchy. Like it was just crazy. I'm like, we all are the same thing. Just I'm looking back a few months last year when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston and there was an alleged gas shortage. Dude, it was nuts. People lost their minds over a weekend, and just because they couldn't adapt. People in Oregon right now are losing their minds because they have to pump their own gas right now, and they're saying, I don't even. I can't even wrap my mind around it. Hearing just like the stories, seeing the video of people just spraying gas all over their car, like I'm reminded of the gasoline fight.
That's what I don't understand about states that don't allow you to pump your own gas. Oregon was one of them, and then the only other one I know of was Jersey.
Yeah,
which is just a weird concept to me. I don't understand why. I guess maybe it was a money thing. Probably people were maybe running off. Maybe. Yeah, but I don't know. And it's one of those things. Like, if you got a driver's license, how can you not know how to? And just by shape alone of the nozzle, like, how do you not know? Even if it blows my mind, but it also goes to just say, like, that's how close we are to God. Really, like, we like you said, we like to think we're so, like, pristine and advanced, but man, we're 1 week away from fighting it out with our neighbors over whatever is in their freezer. We're 1 week away, man. I hope to God it doesn't happen, because I wouldn't be of much use.
keep the electricity on so we can keep binge watching stuff. What about you? What have you been taking in lately? What have you been doing to keep your mind off the impending doom?
So, I recently subscribed to Hulu. So I've been watching a lot of Hulu, actually. And I mostly did this because I'm a huge fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, yes.
I love that show.
I absolutely love that show.
And so I was able to watch the latest season as well that I never got to see on Netflix. I love that show. Same thing with Workaholics. I was able to finish Workaholics. And then I watched this. It's exclusive. Two things exclusive to Hulu. 11/23/63. I think it was a miniseries on Stephen King's novel.
Franco?
Yeah, James Franco. Story of a time traveler stopping the Kennedy assassination. I never read the book. I guess this is a trend with a lot of Stephen King stuff. But this was enjoyable. I mean, he has like 500 books out there, so I can't really blame you. And half of them are 1,000 pages long. Like, as I get older, I don't have this time.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like, it's one of those things, like, you would have to have already been reading for the past 4 decades of his books to just be.
I'll start reading books when the apocalypse happens, and I got nothing else to do. I'll hole up somewhere in the Rocky Mountains in the shack that, and I'll bring a bunch of books and wait for my time to end. But it was okay.
There you go.
James Franco sometimes.
I'll read books when I need kindling.
James Franco sometimes kind of bugs me. I can't buy him in a lot of roles, and this was one of them. Nothing against him, not to say he did a bad job, but I don't buy him as playing this sort of character. I think I'll forever sort of see him like Pineapple Express. Same thing here. Like Planet of the Apes, like I think he did well in there. He was okay, but I can't buy him as a scientist. Come on.
I definitely never bought him. I bought him as a guy playing that role, but I just didn't ever believe it. I mean, Alien Covenant, he did an excellent job being lit on fire and dying.
I'm convinced that was a mannequin.
Definitely, you see like the plastic crash dummy, the clear like pattern on his cheek. I never watched 11/22/63. I appreciate the premise, but every time I tried to start it, like like something happened to where it'd be like 3 more weeks before I would get back to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it was 6.
I wonder if it was a James Franco thing. Yeah.
If it was what?
It makes me wonder if it was James Franco, like subliminally, that I just couldn't maybe believe is a badass time traveling, secret agent. Was he supposed to be like an FBI agent or something? Or
I can't, to be honest FBI, with you, I can't even remember why he was tasked to do this. He shows up at the diner, and the guy takes him out back and is like, "Hey, you walk out that door, it's 1963." And I'm not. If I were James Franco, I'd be like, "Well, I'm not walking out that door because 1963 sounds like it fucking sucked."
Yeah, I don't think I'd be ready for this. I'm not really sure I'm going to get back. They'll probably still like burn me at the cross if I mention all this technology. It's a very tumultuous time in our history. I don't know if especially me personally. I don't know if I maybe would want to try to find a car and put it in some sort of storage facility and hopefully figure out a way to get back. Let me find some classic cars.
I would somehow write notes to myself to like invest in stocks before,
Yes, please jump on this. Please, rubber, plastic, and .com. Let me do that. Starbucks. Oh
god, Starbucks
and Marvel Studios.
Google. I'd jump on the Google train. Well, first I'd get on the Yahoo train and then jump on the Google train.
Amazon. Yeah. Take the Yahoo money to put into Google.
Yeah, exactly. Matter of fact, become majority shareholder of Google.
Yeah, go ahead and actually go back in time and let Yahoo take that buyout when they so proudly refused it.
Oh god. The second series I watched was The Handmaid's Tale, and this I like better. Okay. Have you watched it?
I have not, but no reason other than just postponing, and I just haven't hit play yet.
Yeah,
like the story and everything looks very interesting to me.
I mean, it's well acted. It starred Elizabeth Moss. I haven't seen her in anything. I understand she was in Mad Men. She does a good job.
Yeah, she played a pretty good role in there.
She has an annoying trembling face, I've learned, because there's a lot of close-ups on her just trembling, and it kind of annoyed me. But it also stars the less famous Fiennes brother. Joseph Fiennes.
Joseph,
brother to
Ken.
Remember
him from? He's in a few. I want to say maybe just one American Horror. I guess it was only one American Horror Story. I feel like I saw him in a couple seasons, but I can't place it.
Which one was he in?
But he was definitely in Asylum. He played like the Cardinal or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, stuck in your brain a lot. I can tell, but I just can't remember if he was in any other ones. But it might have just been that one.
I mean, he's not as famous as his brother Voldemort, but
yeah.
I mean, it's a good story. I wouldn't say rush out right now and watch it after this.
Stop it, like you wanted BK to do with Silence.
Yeah, it took me a month to finish it, almost.
Yeah.
Because I would find other shows I'd want to watch, or a lot of times if I'm just trying to fall asleep to some, I'd put on something like It's Always Sunny. God, I fucking love that show.
That's a great show. Like it's and it holds up.
Like
even the fact that it's been on for. I don't think it is either. There's so many quotable material, and it's just like the fact that every story is just a complete cluster. Like I don't even know how these 5 maniacs are gonna come together in this episode, but they do, and it works out, and it makes sense. And I even like how they kind of have over the past couple seasons breaking like the fourth wall of these guys probably aren't really. It's not really going maybe how they see it, like. Especially the high school reunion one. That one really kind of broke down. I'm like, all right, because I've always kind of wondered. I'm like, how are they screaming and no one's kicking them out of a store? And then they finally kind of started doing that. Like A Day in the Life of Frank was a great episode. That was one of my favorite episodes. Just
I really loved the high school reunion one, just for that final shot at when you see what the true dance was, and Mac just his belly's
standing there, his gut out.
D's got the fucking neck brace.
Yes. Oh, man.
I loved it. I think it's season 9. The gang gets quarantined.
Yes.
Where they find out they were just sick from alcohol withdrawal.
Just alcoholics. We're just going through withdrawals.
Just them going outside the bathroom and seeing a bald Danny DeVito in a diaper.
Yes, crawling through like hand sanitizer. Oh my god!
This to me, I can't see Danny DeVito in any other light other than Frank Reynolds.
Like, that's the only thing I see. Like, and he's had such a long acting career. Like, he is only Frank Reynolds to me.
Yeah,
like that's it. This was his role his whole life.
I know. There's a quote in one of the episodes that kind of sums up the show. It's Dennis says, and he says, we immediately escalate everything to a 10. Somebody comes in with some preposterous plan or idea. Then all of a sudden, everyone's on the gas. Nobody's on the brakes. Nobody's thinking. Everyone's just talking over each other with one idiotic idea after another. Until finally, we find ourselves in a situation where we broke into someone's house and the homeowner is home.
That's the one, yes. Yeah. That was the one. It's like, oh, that was one of my favorite. I love this. I love that show. Like, that was a great episode, and then just the twist of it. It's like this Asian family. I'm like, and they just, I don't know, guys. Let's just fuck it. Walk out the door. Like, yeah. I'm done hiding. Let's just walk out the door. And he cracks the whip and just like, oh, it's just great.
I know.
And then I think, like, I'm gonna do a Swedish accent. No, don't do it. Oh my god, I'm here to switch the pipes. Oh my god, just get out. I love it. I love those shows that make me feel awkward in my seat. Like Curb Your Enthusiasm, and this one like do a great job. I'm like, I never want to meet this guy, even though I didn't do this to him. I don't ever want to see this guy because I know that he had to deal with this situation.
Yeah.
Or like where they poisoned another bar just to win a contest, and then just completely forget about the contest. Break into some dude's house and that's a great show. That's one of my all-time favorite shows. Like, it's definitely underappreciated, but it's been on for like 11 years.
It's going on it's on season 12. It's scheduled for 2 more seasons.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Except 2 of the cast members are getting shows on other networks. Like Dee has another show called The Mick, which I haven't watched. And Dennis,
I think it's on like NBC.
Yeah,
or something.
Dennis is getting some other show too. And
gotcha.
I don't. Have you seen the latest late season 12?
No, the last one I've seen was the one that had the day in the life of Frank on. Like, I've seen most of that season.
Okay.
But that's the last one. Because I was watching it on Netflix, but of course they didn't move to.
Well, to sum up my whole point about Hulu is that's been the biggest reason why anybody should get Hulu.
Yeah.
It's Always Sunny.
Like, dude. And it's their tagline. Hulu, their tagline, I mean, they got the TV shows, and they really do. Like, if... That's one thing I say, like, Netflix has, like, stepped up their game for, like, their Netflix, like, docuseries and those type of things. However, but when it comes to, like, TV shows, especially classic TV shows, like, back when they had, like, a moral of the story is this kind of TV shows, that's definitely Hulu all the way. And they have some unique original movies. I will say sometimes it's kind of like Amazon movie-esque where, like, 12 people have rated it out of the 16 that have watched it, and I'm not really sure what I'm getting. But, yeah, TV shows and Always Sunny. Like, Always Sunny is enough to watch.
I hope it goes on forever. I hope these guys don't play anything else. I hope Danny DeVito survives forever. Put his head in a jar. Yeah.
Yeah, was he in his 70s? Yeah, put his head in a jar. Like, yeah, I'm with it. Like, I've run into a few people that don't like that show, and I don't understand it. Like, that's just, it's classic modern and futuristic humor all in one. Like, it's just great. Like,
yeah, I mean, like most shows, I think people need to watch a couple seasons and kind of fall in love with the characters, know how they act, things like that. Then you start appreciating it more. All my favorites, I can see that because I didn't really think Always Sunny.
Like, maybe not after season 1.
Yeah,
or season 2,
usually season 2 is when comedies really pick up. Same thing with Office and Parks and Rec are 2 of my favorite, but the first seasons of those shows are. You gotta
another one of my
them.
top. Yeah, you gotta like Charlie McDaniels. That was one of my favorite episodes too. When they had the game, and then they did the next time they played it in the most and well, I don't know if that was maybe season 10 or maybe 11, but like that was a hilarious episode. Like I'm like I want to play that game, Charlie McDaniel, with the whole drinking and like that. It's just it's brilliant comedy, especially if you stuck with it. It's brilliant comedy.
Oh yeah,
just
absolutely.
Like like these characters, they play it so well, and it's so witty. Like I can go back and watch it and catch a joke that I wouldn't have caught like the first 3 times I watch it. Like it's pretty quick.
I know.
And Charlie really brings them all together.
My favorite probably running joke of the entire show is just the downward spiral of Rickety Cricket. Just yes. Going from like a pristine bastard to, man, he couldn't have fallen any further. Now he's a guy with half his face burnt off.
Oh man, and they just keep getting it. And now it's just like he's just like, I don't care, whatever you got, dude.
He's got a good episode in season 12. If you get a chance to watch the latest season, it reminded me of like, oh man, what can they do to this guy even more?
Oh yeah, how can we torture? Let's go ahead and harvest his organs before he's dead. Now, that's where they're gonna go next. Well, man, we kind of flown through this one.
Yes.
There's a lot. We had some good NFL playoff talk, which, if BK allows it, we may be able to have him some more next week since he has a team in the fight. So we may be able to pull his teeth to get him to do that. But we do wish him a speedy recovery. He's getting over he's down with the sickness right now.
Rickets,
but he's still with us in spirit. Yeah, he definitely got the rickets hardcore this time.
You would think after almost a year of rickets, we would have been, pretty close, if not already found a cure. But
we're just not donating any of the funds. We'd rather do it to military spending. Like, let's do it the right way. Okay.
I've been giving my extra money to Tyson's Chicken.
right. But yeah, recap. We covered your NFL playoffs. We covered shows that you need to watch. If you haven't watched Black Mirror yet, if you haven't just given yourself that delight, just pick one. It doesn't matter what you watch. Like I said, if you wanna see what that poison is you're eating and why it's so delicious and addicting, go watch Rotten. If you wanna just get that funny bone tickle, head on over to Hulu. Watch Always Sunny. There's a lot of great material just on all of these. But we always want to help you curate your media the player way. And I'm going to go ahead and, BK always asks if there's anything good for your order, but we talked about what we wanted to talk about. There's a little different seasoning, a little different flavoring with Nate and Derreck. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. That's right, the shallow jump. Our toes have been wet on this shallow jump here. I am Derreck, known as Corrupting the System, and that is my co-captain Nate.
I'm pretty much known as Nate. Or Nathan.
He's pretty much known as Nate. You can't find him anywhere, though. That's the thing. And if the apocalypse hits, don't even worry about looking for him. He's just holed up, and he's just waiting for his snacks to run out, all right? And he's looking at that 38 lovingly.
Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate. First, I'm going to catch up on some Stephen King novels, and then...
That's right.
See how long I can go off of that.
See how long you go. All right, well, it's been great talking with you, man. Always appreciate it. Always good to get a different take, get somebody as knowledgeable as you, breaking it down and getting your spin on things. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. You guys stay weird out there. We appreciate it.
All right. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Player Way podcast. Recorded in a single take from Los Angeles, California, Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia, by Nathan Peterson, Derek Lewis, and BK Jackson.
And I'm Darren Marlar, the majestic voice of the Player Way podcast.
Our opening theme is titled Bound by Ricky Remedy, courtesy of Elysian Records. And our closing theme is titled Coconut King Diaries by Xander, spelled Zahnder. You can find this music by both Ricky Remedy and Xander, and many more tracks on SoundCloud. And remember, no matter what choices you make or paths you follow, just make sure you do it
the Player Way.
See you next week.